and welcome. Today I'm going to be making a ton of new brunch recipes. I think these are going to be perfect for fall. My motivation for today is that in the Freezer Meals 101 Club, there are 359 main course recipes and counting, and then there's some lunches and soups and appetizers and all the things, but there are only 27 breakfast recipes. So the last few months I have been experimenting and inventing new recipes, giving them a try, and then if they work out, they can make their way into the club, because I feel like 27 just doesn't give you enough variety. And since they say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, I do want to entice you to try some new recipes and make breakfast a little bit more fun. So today we're going to be doing some fall-inspired brunches, and excited to see how they turn out. So the first thing that I did this morning is I got some bacon started. I have a system where I twist the bacon. That way I can fit 2 packs of bacon on a baking sheet instead of being able to fit only 1 pack if you put the strips down flat instead of twisting. So I've got the bacon cooked up. I've got some Italian sausage cooked up. I only needed a small amount of that. I've got some cheese shredded. So there wasn't a ton of prep to do. I did have to cube some French bread and some bagels for some of our recipes because we have so much going on today. But the first thing I want to get started is making some blueberry cottage cheese muffins, because those will need to cook and cool before we can get them in the freezer. So that's why they're the first thing that I want to do. Let's get to it. I'm so glad you're here with me. I had to grab myself a tea. I love this tea. It is from a place in Invermere, British Columbia, called Tea Etc. I have so many of their teas, but this one is called Vanilla Cream, and it's my current tea obsession. So good, and I really needed the caffeine. So, okay, it's still maybe a little too hot, but we're gonna get started with these blueberry cottage cheese muffins. I'm kind of wanting to add more protein into my diet. You know, I'm getting a little older and you're supposed to add more protein. So I'm looking for easy ways to do that. And cottage cheese is one of those things. So I am going to add some sugar, eggs. Now today we're going to be using a lot of eggs. And eggs used to be one of those like really inexpensive foods, but in recent years, the price of eggs has really skyrocketed. So I find that if you can buy the large trays, that's a really good way to cut down on the cost of eggs. They're a lot less expensive that way. And today, since it's all brunch recipes, we're going to be going through a lot of eggs. We're going to add our cottage cheese. And some oil. I'm going to mix all those ingredients together. Now we're going to add some flour. Some baking powder, baking soda, and cinnamon. It's a bit strange seeing the chunks in there from the cottage cheese, but hopefully it tastes fine. This is my first time making cottage cheese muffins, so you never know until you try it. Next, we're gonna stir in some blueberries. Normally, I would say that you could use frozen or fresh. This recipe did call for fresh. I am using fresh because I don't know if it's just the season, but you have been able to get the most incredible sales on blueberries lately. We've been eating them like, I feel like by the truckful. That would be an exaggeration, but we've been eating so many because you can get them, like the container that I got these in were like $1.99 for a pretty good size container. So if your fresh blueberries are less expensive than buying frozen, then you might as well use fresh. I'm just gonna fold these in kind of gently, and then we're gonna spoon these into our muffin tin. I'm not needing to spray this or anything because I'm using a stoneware muffin tin. But if you're using a regular muffin tin, then you want to give it a good spray first. I'm gonna throw these in the oven and then we'll move on to some of our breakfast casseroles. Next, we're gonna make an everything bagel breakfast casserole. I've taken some everything bagels and I chopped them into some chunks. They came sliced, so the chunks happen to be sliced now. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put one layer, so half of the bagels, down in one of these foil trays. I got the foil trays at Costco, and you can use your own casserole dish for this if you prefer, but this is really, really simple, especially if I'm taking this. Sometimes I take our brunches with us if we go on vacation, or if you get invited to somebody's house for, you know, a brunch or even for a party, because no reason you can't have a really good breakfast for dinner dish. Anyway, I'm gonna lay one layer down of the bagels in our tray. Then you're gonna add some cooked and chopped bacon on top of there and some shredded Swiss or Gruyere cheese. You're also gonna add some cream cheese that's been cut into some cubes. And then you're gonna put down the rest of those bagel cubes and you're gonna layer it all again with some more bacon, some more of that shredded cheese, and some more cream cheese chunks. You're gonna mix together some eggs, heavy cream, salt, and pepper. And then we're just gonna pour that egg mixture on top of our bagel goodness with all of the bacon and cheese and all the things. And we're gonna cover it with 2 layers of foil and get that into the freezer. On the day that you bake this, you wanna let it fully thaw before you bake it. And then at the very end, you can sprinkle it with some chopped chives if you want to fancy it up. Full disclosure, I haven't yet tried the bagel casserole, so I don't know how it's gonna be, but my guess is that all the flavors in there, like the everything bagel seasoning, the actual bagels, the bacon, the cheese, the heavy cream, the salt and pepper, you know, I think it's gonna be hard to go wrong with this one, even that richness of the cream cheese, and that's kind of gonna play off the whole like bagels and cream cheese breakfast situation. So I think this is gonna be a winner, but I will have to let you know in a future video. I'm always surprised at how much longer it takes to do breakfast or brunches, things like that, than it is to assemble dinners. When you're assembling a freezer meal dinners, it's like 1 hour and you can have 12 meals made easily, whereas the breakfasts and brunches always take a lot longer. And it always surprises me because I'm used to being able to be like, oh, we're already done like 6 recipes. And today I'm like, well, we're already done 2 meals, so it just doesn't have quite the same ring to it. But those are 2 days that I won't have to worry. Well, the muffins are not really like a full meal. It's more like a snack thing or whatever, but it's one brunch that I won't have to worry about, and some days that I won't have to worry about snacks or like grab and go breakfasts maybe. And we're moving on to the next one, which is a tater tot breakfast casserole. Some of you who watch our channel regularly know that my neighbor Christy and I get together once every 3 months and we make enough meals to last both of our families for pretty much the next 3 months, which has been a really, really awesome way never to have to worry about what to make for dinner again. And through our YouTube channel and through the Freezer Meals 101 Club, we've been able to help thousands of people make that easier for themselves too. If you didn't know, the Freezer Meals 101 Club allows you to go in and create your own custom meal plan using our tried and true recipes, and then print off your shopping list, your prep list, and it's got those awesome printable labels with the cooking instructions on them too. So it takes all the guesswork out of freezer cooking so that it makes it easier for you to be able to do what we do. Although we recommend that you don't start with 3 months at a time. Anyway, a lot of you have been asking when our next mega session is, because we actually haven't done one for a long time. Just like life circumstances have made it so that it's worked better in this season of life to be doing like a month at a time or a few weeks at a time. And also the Freezer Meals 101 Club has a monthly live cooking class. So when we cook with you, those meals have helped tide us over in the times when we haven't been doing the mega sessions. So between that and occasionally filming a video like this where we're showing you some other recipes, we've been able to sort of limp along. But the time has come. Our freezers are really empty. All that's in mine right now are gonna be brunches and a few like snacky pack for school lunch kind of things. Other than that, I am bone dry in there as far as meals go. So Christy's in the same boat, and she's right now moving her mom into a care facility closer to where we live. And that's why she hasn't been with me in the last few videos. But once she gets that all situated, she's gonna be kind of busy doing like, you know, tying up loose ends and all of that. And as a result, she's gonna need the meals now more than ever. I am also going into like a super busy season of my life right away here, and I need the meals. So we're missing them, and it is time. So for those of you who've been asking when our next mega session is, it is coming. Yesterday I was finalizing the list. It's a good mix of like tried and true recipes, which then it's so much faster because we can make 4 of each, 2 each for each of our families, and like we know we're gonna love them. Whereas with new recipes, which we're also doing, we're doing about half and half. Those ones we only make 2 of, so each family gets 1, and we can try it and see if we love it before investing in like the ingredients and wasting them in case the recipe is awful, because believe it or not, we have had some flops over the years. And today when I'm making these brunch things, you'll notice that I am not doubling them because I have no idea if they're gonna work through the whole freezing process and heating again later, and even if they work just as recipes and if our family's gonna like them. So all that to say that we've got this awesome mega session planned. We'll probably make around, like in and around 100 dinners during that. Lots and lots of like new kind of fun recipes that we're gonna try, and then some easy ones too. So we are looking forward to that. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that little notification button so that you know when that's coming up. So for our tater tot breakfast casserole, we're gonna whisk together some eggs, salt, pepper, paprika, and some whole milk. Then in our foil tray, we're gonna add some ground sausage that I browned up this morning, some shredded cheddar cheese, and some tater tots. We're gonna mix all of that together in our foil tray, and then we're gonna pour that egg mixture on top. And then we're gonna sprinkle it with a little bit more of the shredded cheese and some cooked and chopped bacon. Then we're gonna top that with 2 layers of foil and get that in the freezer. When we go to make this, you can actually cook it from partially thawed or fully thawed, and you're just gonna bake it in your oven at 350 for 35 to 40 minutes. For this one, you do wanna make sure that you uncover it before baking because you want those tater tots to crisp right up. I'm gonna get this into the freezer, and then we're gonna start on a French toast casserole that sounds really yummy and perfect for fall. For this French toast casserole, it's a apple cinnamon French toast casserole, which is why I think it's gonna be amazing for this coming season. And I've already gone ahead and cubed some French bread, or you can use challah bread, and I put it directly into a foil container. We're going to mix together some peeled, cored, and cubed apples with some melted butter and brown sugar. And then we're gonna put that apple mixture on top of our bread cubes. Next, we're gonna mix together some eggs, milk, heavy cream, sugar, vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, and a little bit of salt. And we're gonna pour the egg mixture all over everything. Then we're gonna cover it with 2 layers of foil again, get the label on there, and get that one in the freezer so that it is ready to bake up. When you bake the apple French toast, there is a topping that you wanna make with it. I really debated because a lot of times when we're doing the freezer cooking, we like to have everything done ahead of time. And a lot of times we'll do, like if there's a topping or whatever, we'll actually make it ahead, put it in a smaller bag and freeze that along with the other. And then on the day of, we'll like put the topping on from the bag. We do that quite often just because we're trying to save ourselves time, not create ourselves more work. But with this topping, I looked at it and I knew that if I made it ahead and froze it, I don't think it's gonna have the same crunch that you're looking for. And so I do think it's gonna be best to make it on the day of. Now, if we end up loving this recipe, then in the future, what I might do is do a little tester where I actually freeze the topping, try it on like maybe half of it. I don't want to like ruin the whole thing, or you know, if it ends up being like mushy or soggy, or if it just doesn't have the right texture. So that might be something that if the recipe is amazing, then I play around with to see if I can make it even more freezer friendly. But for today, we're just going to freeze the main part that we made, and on the day I go to make it, then I'm gonna make the topping, put that on top, and bake it. So again, I'll have to let you know in the future how this goes, but I'm pretty excited about this one with the fall apples and all of those things. Next, we're going to make some breakfast sliders, and I'm so excited about these because I've been wanting to do breakfast sliders for a couple of years now and just haven't gotten around to it. I think the reason is because we have so many amazing slider recipes that are like lunches and dinners that whenever I buy the slider buns, I just am too tempted to make them into those. So I've never actually gone ahead and made the breakfast sliders, but this time I bought them specifically to make the breakfast sliders, and that's what we're doing. So we're going to slice our slider buns and we're gonna put the bottom into a foil tray. We're gonna mix together some eggs, milk, salt, and pepper, and we're just gonna scramble those in some butter. And then we're going to spread those scrambled eggs out on top of the buns. We're gonna top that with some cooked and crumbled bacon because we made so much today and we're using all of it. Then we're going to add some sliced cheddar cheese, and we're going to replace the top of the buns. Next, in a small bowl, we're gonna mix together some melted butter, some everything bagel seasoning, some dry onion, and a little bit of salt and pepper. We're gonna brush that butter mixture over top of the buns and then cover them with 2 layers of foil and get that into the freezer. When we go to make this, we're going to thaw it completely because we found with sliders, if we don't thaw them absolutely completely before we cook them, then what we end up with is the sliders on the outside are a little bit overcooked and the sliders in the middle are too dense and can stay too cold. So just to make it all cook evenly and you'll end up with the result that you're wanting, we're gonna thaw this completely and then bake it covered in the oven for like 15-20 minutes. We're gonna uncover it and then bake it for another 5 minutes just to like crisp those tops up. Our sliders are all so good, and they've all worked really well for the freezer, so I don't see why these wouldn't, but we do have to experiment and make sure so that we can see, and again, get back to you with the results. As I said earlier, it does take a little bit longer to make brunches and breakfasts, although it's so nice to have them done. But there are some things you can do when you're doing make-ahead meals like this that'll save you some time and some energy. So I just wanted to share a few of those with you. There were so many times today where I needed to mix together some eggs and milk, or eggs and heavy cream, you know, and some salt and pepper or whatever, like seasonings went in there. But those are all so similar, and it's not gonna wreck one recipe to like have a little tiny touch of paprika where another one had cinnamon or whatever. So I just reused the same bowls over and over when I was doing my egg mixtures, because then I don't have to do so many dishes. Same with the whisk. If it's whisking eggs and milk or eggs and heavy cream, same basic difference, and it's not going to hurt anyone to have, like I said, like a little touch of paprika or cinnamon or whatever in their breakfast bake. So that was one way that I saved myself some time. Another way is that I obviously was using very similar ingredients. So eggs, bacon, sausage, cheese. So I was able to cook a whole whack of bacon all at the same time and get it chopped up and then use it across multiple recipes, rather than every single Sunday cooking bacon, having to wash the pan that I cooked the bacon in, then making my breakfast bake up fresh and having to do the dishes again from the egg bowl and all of those things. This is actually, it sounds like just little bits here and there, but the truth is that when it comes to working in the kitchen, those little bits really add up. And by using similar ingredients across multiple recipes, you are able to save a lot of time, but you also save money, because we were able to buy the eggs in a 30-pack rather than multiple just dozen eggs if I was making these over the course of many weeks, and that saves you money there. And I was able to get my bacon super on sale. Another little tip for you is that bacon freezes, so I did buy an extra pack of bacon and slipped it in the door of my freezer, and then the next time I need bacon, I know that I can get that. It was like $2 off per pack. And again, those things add up. So I hope those tips help you out. I'm going to take the muffins now and put them into a freezer bag. I'm gonna make sure that to take as much air as I can out of that bag so that when I go and grab them, they'll be as fresh as possible and not have any freezer burn. Then you wanna make sure that you seal it up when you take one or two out. Then you get air out again and then seal it back up and stick it in the freezer. Those are gonna be so great for those busy mornings that are coming up. I hope they're good. Actually, I'm tempted to try one right now and see if they're good. Maybe we should do that. My only hesitation is for the cottage cheese. But like I said, I'm trying to get more protein, and that's one easy way to do it. Actually, you can't see the cottage cheese chunks in there. You could see them in the batter, but you can't actually see them in the muffins. So that's making me feel better already. Let's give it a try. That's very good. I think what makes it even better is that little bit of cinnamon in there, and it does give it like that fall flavor. Oh my goodness. Yes, it's a winner. Okay, we've got one recipe that's a winner, and I know for sure that muffins freeze. So already we've discovered a new recipe. We'll see how the other four fare once they're frozen and we get them baked up. Thank you for being with me today. It's pretty lonely in my kitchen without Christy, so I really appreciate you keeping me company. I hope you have a great rest of your day and happy cooking.